sold out to Jesus. I'm sold out, I'm sold out to Him. Sold out to Him. And there's a God who owns my heart. I'm sold out to Him.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to the July edition of LIM with A.D.O. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about the Ministry of Health with our doctor, Dr. Margaret Obenu. She's going to be talking to us about postpartum depression. And there are a lot of things I really like about this episode because we get to talk about things that women actually go through after giving birth. And then even funnily, you know that men can also go through postpartum depression. So on this episode, you're going to be seeing that. And then in our own little way, in form of songs, we're going to be professing our love to God. You know we always love our language of music. So it's going to be an amazing time. Sit back. And please, if you have not subscribed to our channel, kindly click on the subscribe button so that you can also get to watch more of our videos. Love always, Abimbola.
About how greatly blessed we are as God's children and how He has loved us and He continues to love us. Lord bless you and keep you, make His face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Lord, turn His face towards you and give be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and your children and your children. May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and your children and your children. May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and your children. May His presence go before you and behind you and beside you and around you and within you. Is with you, is with you in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, in your weeping and rejoicing. It's for you, 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 oh, it's for you, it's for you, it's for you. And we sing amen, 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 amen. Singing amen, amen. It's the sound of angels. Amen, amen. We cry amen, amen, amen,
We're talking about postpartum depression. But then, before we start talking about it, I'd like you to please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who Dr. Margaret is, then we can go on to this.
Okay, so I am Margaret Obieno. I'm a medical doctor by training, and I'm undergoing training now as a resident doctor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. I work with LUT. And I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a sister. So that's basically that.
Almost like so many parts in one woman.
Kind of, yeah.
Wife, and then being a mother, also being a doctor. There are a lot of things really that you do. Thank you again, Ma, for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
So, postpartum depression, like a few things that I have seen on the internet, and especially with a movie that I saw actually. I saw a movie recently, and then during the course of the movie, the storyline basically was talking about a woman that she had this baby, and because they had complications during the course of the
Mhm.
delivery, they had to remove her womb, and then she could not even hold this child for as long as 3 months. She was still calling the child the baby, the baby. She was not even calling, addressing the child by the name that was given to the child. And at the end of the day, sadly, she killed herself.
Oh.
And since then, I know my mom, and since then I've just been like, so this postpartum depression um issue is actually something that should not be trivialized, because some women go
Mhm.
through these things like after delivering and all, and they don't know that this is what they are going through, and they don't even know how to address it. People around them, they just think that they are not normal, something is just wrong with them, and just leave them there. So, Marcus, can you enlighten us from the medical aspect? What is postpartum depression? And what does it entail?
Okay, so I think I should start by saying that postpartum depression is very much with us. It's just that we've come to see it as one of those things, and so we move on with it. But looking closely, you realize that, oh, this is it. And it's it's more like the people going through it may not really know that's what's going on around them. They may not know that's what's happening to them until you really sit back and think, oh, okay, this and this is going on. Oh, this is really where I am. So it could be happening without awareness. You may not even be aware that that's what's going on. So it's like, I would say postpartum depression is a major depressive condition that happens in the postpartum period. So postpartum period is the woman that has given birth. And it's kind of about 80% of women would have mood changes after they've delivered. It doesn't necessarily mean that is the depression. But if a percentage of them move on to have postpartum depression, about 13%. So it's, I don't want to call it psychiatric condition like that, because once we hear psychiatric condition, our mind goes to madness. But it's a disorder, quite all right. And we have the postpartum blues, that's the mild one. Then we have the postpartum depression, and then there's the postpartum psychosis, that is the serious one. So, how do we go? Okay, so postpartum blues, let's start from there. That's the one that happens the first week after delivery till like the second week, and then it stops spontaneously, just stops on its own. So the woman just realizes that, oh, I'm just irritable. I can't control my emotions. Um, just sometimes I'm very excited, I'm very elated, and then some other times I'm just very quiet. I'm just very down, and I can't really say what's happening. But by the second week after delivery, she's a lot fine and things are back to normal. I know. So about 50 to 80% of women that have delivered undergo this. Is not much of a problem because it resolves spontaneously. But if by the time baby is 12 days old, nothing, she's not back to her usual self, then there's a problem. You actually need to probe further, because it could just be a warning sign of postpartum depression. So postpartum depression, it's, let me start with what are the risk factors? Who is this? Who is prone to having postpartum depression? It is seen more in women that maybe they've had a previous history of major depression, or people that had a major life incident during pregnancy. Say they'd lost a loved one, or they had an incident that was very traumatic, or maybe they lost their job, just a major incident, life incident that happened during pregnancy. Those ones are at risk of it. Or people that they've been in and out of hospital during that pregnancy. So you feel as if I'm not just having it like every other person that is slain. That could actually be a trigger. Then for some people that, oh, the birth experience is not in sync with what they expected. Like in the movie you watched, oh, I'm expecting what the movie shows, and you just, my water has busted, you go in, baby is out, everybody's happy. It may not always happen that way. some things may happen along the line. It could be longer than you anticipated. It could just be that you were not properly prepared for what you're experiencing. So that could be a risk factor for postpartum depression. Others include, level of social support. Maybe you're just alone going through the whole, when a new baby comes, your life changes. Even if you've done it over and over again, it's never the same. Your life changes. Having to wake up, oh, baby is crying. I don't even know why this baby is crying. I'm trying to give the baby food. Baby is not eating, is not taking it. So the whole change in your lifestyle could just, and especially if you didn't prepare for it, if you're not planned for, if you're not properly prepared for it, it could just trigger postpartum depression. And then problems with the marital relationship could also be a trigger. Maybe before the whole thing happened, you and your spouse were not really in good terms, and then this comes. Of course, the attention now is on the baby, and one or the other person may not feel, I'm not getting all the attention I used to get. And you're trying to see, how do I juggle this whole thing? Could be a risk factor for it. And unintended pregnancy, the pregnancy just happened. It's not something you planned for. Assuming, for those that have completed childbirth, I'm not going this direction again. And it happens. And it happens. Yes. Or we're not just prepared for it and you got pregnant. And you're still trying to think of how to cope with it. Say you were still in school. So juggling the whole thing could just be very frustrating, and before you know it, you end up in postpartum depression. Or even a young age, teenage pregnancy. Those ones are really, really, really at risk of postpartum depression. And then the one that we don't like to talk about, but it is there, the sex of the baby. You've been looking for a girl and it turned out to be another boy. Or you've been looking for a boy and it turned out to be another girl. That could be a trigger for postpartum depression. So there are a lot of triggers that could, even so, low socioeconomic status. We know what's going on in our environment now. The economy is not smiling. And then, you're struggling. How am I going to feed this baby? When is the next meal coming? How am I even going to be able to eat so I can produce enough milk for the baby and all that? So that could be a trigger. So what are the symptoms? They are usually irritable. You really don't know what's making them snap. They just snap easily. And what is it now? And you're wondering, what did I just say? Or what did I just do? Why are you just being irrational with things I'm saying? Sometimes the woman just sits there, she starts crying and she can't explain why she's crying. Some people just, tears of joy. She's a new mother and she's just so excited. It could just be something else. It could just be a pointer to something else. A woman is just anxious about, is my baby breathing? It's as if the baby has stopped breathing. Is this happening? Is the baby lying down well? Just anxious over things that usually would not cause anxiety for you. That's just that's one of the symptoms that could come up. Or just feeling that I'm not able to cope I'm not able to care for this baby. I'm not able to cope with all the activities, all the responsibilities I need to juggle with. Feeling overwhelmed. You just wake up in the morning and you're overwhelmed. You don't even know where to start from, and you don't even know how to go about it. Yes, you're trying to guide you through it, but you just feel inadequate. Yes, it can happen, but when it's happening over a long period of time, that could just be a symptom of postpartum depression. And then also loss of energy. You've rested, but you're just feeling tired all the time. You can't explain why you're tired, but you're just tired. You can't explain it. You're just any small thing, I'm tired, but you've rested well, you've slept well. That could just be a symptom of postpartum depression. And then some other times, you're not even interested in the way you look. You've woken up in the morning, that hair, you've not combed it for 3 days. It's not that you're overwhelmed with the work. It could just be that this thing is knocking at the door. Postpartum depression is dancing around. You're wearing the same clothes. You're not even, the clothes is dirty now, but you are not seeing it. You're just not taking care of yourself the way you would on a normal day, even when baby was, the way you would when baby was there around. That could be a warning sign of postpartum depression. And then having problems concentrating. You're in the midst of people that are all gisting and they're talking and you're lost. That could just be a sign too that this person is going through a lot. And then the red flags is when the woman starts hearing voices, people are talking to her. Sometimes they're talking to her, she's just hearing voices, kill this baby. By that time, we have moved from depression to psychosis. And those kind of people actually are the ones that need to be admitted in the hospital. So by the time the woman is hearing voices, she just has this hatred for the child she cannot explain. It could just be a form of postpartum psychosis, and she would require some serious, some medical attention. And then by the time they're beginning to have to think of suicide, it's gone far. It's gone far. And so these are people that need attention. So for postpartum psychosis, this is not the one you manage in the house. You actually need to take the woman to the hospital because it's more than the usual. Okay, so I don't know, have I answered your question fully?
Thank you very much, Ma.
Hello? Sorry, I lost you for a while.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So you mentioned something when you were talking about features of postpartum depression, where it's possible for the person to just, like you said, not feel like taking care of themselves, to just be moody for no reason at all. And well, unfortunately, or less unfortunately, now in the kind of society that we live in, the first response that most times you get when even depression generally, not just postpartum depression, the first thing is so people be like, let me just stay away from this person. I don't know what exactly is wrong with this person. I don't know what's going on with this person. Now, as a people now, as a society, how would you say we can actually help people that are going through postpartum depression? How can we support mothers that are actually going through this thing? Some mothers that do not even know that that's what they are going through, but then we notice this signs in them. How can we help them?
Okay, so we know that no man is an island. A lot of people are trying to just be by themselves, but life is not meant to be that way. You should have friends, you should have connections around you. So by the time, and the individual undergoing this may not know that is the problem, may not just know that's what's going on. You just wake up and you don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like leaving my room today. I don't feel like cleaning the house. I don't feel like having my bath. And the person just, it's just today now, I don't feel like it. But it's the person around that notices, this is not you, you are changing. You're becoming another version of you that we are not aware. So it's actually the person around that could pick, oh, something is going wrong. And if you notice your friend is not her usual self, that could just be a pointer that instead of walking away, let me just give this person space. It's time to get closer and find out what it is. It could just be that talking about it would make the person realize, oh yeah, it's actually what's going on around me. It could be. But again, in our nature, it's not my portion, God forbid. We are very quick to deny and reject things. But sometimes it's good to just, let's face what is on the table and then we know how to take it from there. So the people around is not a time to run away. It's a time to get closer. Just give a listening ear, allow the person talk. Just sit down and listen. And just being able to pour out the burden could help. It goes a long way to help. Rendering support, how do you support? Oh, okay, have you eaten? Oh yeah, let's eat together. So just being with someone, okay, let's eat together, it can help. Oh, okay, let's do this together. Getting involved in the activity. Or where the woman feels overwhelmed, you're just helping out with some of the tasks. Okay, you do this while I do this, and we do it together. Sometimes the things she used to enjoy, as it means she enjoyed music, or just ensure the environment is not dull. They like gloomy environments. Turn off the lights, put off the TV, just nothing exciting. No. You can just decide, oh, as I'm entering this room, open the windows, let some sunlight come in. Open the curtains, let sunlight come in. Open the windows, let some fresh air come in. Play some music to lift up the soul and all that. It could help. It goes a long way to help. But having someone around you to talk to, being a listening ear, providing a lot of support goes a long way. Now, the support can start from the home. Having a supportive spouse. Sometimes he takes over the baby just so you could get some rest. Even when you're the one carrying the baby, just him sitting down there with you, you're doing this so well. And having those words of commendation, encouragement, they go a long way in helping. And then family members also. Yes, we know family members should visit, but sometimes we also need to know when to take a step backwards and rest. Because one person coming in to see the baby, as that person is there, another person coming in, and you really don't have time to rest. It could just be a trigger because you get overwhelmed. So the other people that are with you should know when to say, no, she's sleeping. She doesn't need to be disturbed now. And we'll talk with you, we'll entertain you next time you see. It's helpful. It's not disrespectful that people came to see baby and you are not able to see them. Your health matters. You need to be alive so you can take care of the baby. So you also need to know where to draw the line.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And there was an article I was reading that it's something about is it paternal postpartum depression? Yes, saying that it's also possible for men to actually go through postpartum depression. Can you shed a bit of light on that?
Okay, so actually there is something called paternal postpartum depression, though we don't talk about it. Why? Because our men are strong men. I know they're strong and all that, but it's really there's something like postpartum depression for the men. So by the time you realize that a new father, it's a bit withdrawn. The presence of a new baby is actually a time for family bonding. You just want to be around, be a part of the baby's life, be a part of the new phase, grow with the new family. But by the time you realize that, that's when the man, I'd rather go hang out with my friends. And he just wants to be away. He doesn't want to be there. Oh, the crying of the baby is irritating or doesn't help him. So he just wants to stay away from the family. He was anxious. You can't really explain, but he's just anxious. He's restless. You can't explain his emotions. He's more like he's there, but he's not there. And then he's indecisive. He doesn't really know what it is that he wants or what it is that he wants to do for the family. And then before you know it, he becomes irritable. It can go as bad as being involved in things that he wasn't involved in before. It just becomes violent all of a sudden, or takes to alcohol. You can't explain why. It just becomes a new habit. Gets involved in illegal drugs or even illicit relations and all that. Could just be a pointer to postpartum depression. And what are the triggers? What could have caused it? Like I said earlier, unintended pregnancy. This man was not planning for this baby, and baby just came. More like this baby came and turned my life upside down. So he's trying to adjust to the new status that he has just stepped into. Or there was, before baby came, the marital relationship was a bit shaky. And then sometimes you expect that baby coming in should make things better, but sometimes it just makes it worse. That could be a trigger for it. Or the man is not making much, or he doesn't even have a job, and then he's overwhelmed with this burden of how do I provide and all that. So just being overwhelmed with that could just be a trigger for them. And for them is that it happens maybe like it could stretch up to like 3 to 6 months after the baby has been delivered. Could even stretch up to a year or two. Unlike the woman that, okay, may happen maybe the first 3 weeks, postpartum depression, by the 3rd week, you begin to see some symptoms about it. But for the man, it may be like 3 months, 6 months, a year, and all that. You just notice that this man that was always around is just withdrawn. It's no longer there. He doesn't even want to hold the baby or play with the baby and all that. Could just be a pointer that, oh, there's something like postpartum depression going on here. And so he may need further evaluation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Margaret. There's so many questions I'd still like to ask you, but then because of our time, I won't be able to ask you like all of them. But I know back camera, yeah, you still have plenty things to talk about. But in one word, or in one sentence, if you're going to be talking to people that are going through postpartum depression, both paternal and maternal, what would you like to say?
Okay, I would like to say, how can you even deal with it? But if you attend antenatal classes, it helps because they help you prepare your mind to what is coming. I'm always very happy when I see the men come with their wives for antenatal. Oh God, I love to see that because we are in this together. And so we are taking it every step by step together. It helps you prepare for what is coming. And when you're prepared for it, it doesn't take you by unawares. So that's one thing. If I encourage a lot of women to ensure they attend antenatal classes. If you can attend with your spouse, oh, fantastic, please do. It helps you get prepared for it. And as try not to be alone. So this advice now is for the people to the other people. If you have that friend that is pregnant, if you have that family member that is pregnant, please be around them and provide all the support that they need. It goes a long way in preventing postpartum depression. What we don't really get to understand is that postpartum depression doesn't just affect the mother or the father, it affects the child even in years to come because they have challenges with their development. And then as they grow older, you realize that sometimes they may become violent. They just have behavior that is not acceptable in the society. If you want to trace back, it could be that there was an issue while the child was born and while the child was growing up. Having that love and bonding while the child is growing up, it makes the child feel loved and you grow up that way. And it helps you to deal with the pressures from the society, the challenges of the society. But when that is missing, because when you're dealing with postpartum depression or maternal or paternal, it's difficult to show that love. It's difficult to have that bonding. So I would encourage that we just provide as much support as possible. And as a person, if you notice that this is not me, this is not me. No, I used to be a very chatty person. I used to be full of life, but I don't understand what's going on around me. Please don't keep quiet. It's a time to speak up. Talk to someone, talk to a friend, talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. So let me share an experience. I had this woman that came in for the postnatal visit. She came for, we needed to review her wound. She had a CS. And I just noticed she was quiet. She didn't really, she was just answering monotonous, yes, no. And I'm like, what's going on? What's the problem? This is not you. And she begins to cry. At that point, I knew there was a challenge. So we talked about, she said she's not just able to understand. I mean, this is not her first CS, but it's like she's not coping well. And everybody expects her to snap back, but she's not able to. So there's a lot of pressure on her. And then invited the husband. And then they begin to talk. We realize that, oh, this thing, there was already an issue before the baby came and all that. But we were able to go through it. And I was so happy by the time I saw her later on. In fact, I was amazed for her because when I suggested, would you want to see a psychologist? She didn't say no, she said yes. So that means at that point, she knew this was not her, she needed help. And in a few weeks, oh gosh, she was full of life, up and doing, the wound healed. Because if your body responds to how you feel, by the time she was getting better, the wound healed and everything. So I was so happy for her. So please talk to your doctor, talk to your medical personnel. they would help you as well. We encourage the family members, the spouse. The husband has a major role to play for the maternal postpartum depression, and the wife has a major role to play for the paternal postpartum depression. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma, for coming on the show. Thank you so much for answering our questions. I know if we also get other questions from people that have been watching, we'll definitely put them across to you so you can
That'll be
help us
fine.
answer them. Thank you so
Anytime.
much, Ma, for your time. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being on the show.
And Ma, do have a beautiful evening.
And you too. Thank you.
Bye, Ma.
Bye.
And I hope that from the video of the discussion between myself and Dr. Margaret, we're able to learn some things about postpartum depression. It really does exist. Women actually do go through these things. And some men even go through postpartum depression. But at the end of the day, when we all come together and show love, standing in the place of prayer and also doing our own deeds as fellow human beings, the world will be a better place. What better way to end the video, what better way to end the month than for us to say that we pray that the Lord bless you, He keeps you, He makes His face shine upon you, and He continues to be gracious to you. Thank you so much for joining us on our journey for the July edition of LIM with A.D.O. I look forward to you joining us again as we continue on this journey of discovering and exploring the different ministries that the Lord has given unto us. Love always, always and always. Abimbola.
It's just the way you care for us. A.D.O and see the way you love me. See the way you care for me. You carry my matter for your head. And see the way you love me. And see the way you care for me. You carry my matter for your head. It's just the way